episode of PODCAD. This week we have a very special guest. She is a very close friend of the podcast.
Yes.
And has amazing work. She is a multidisciplinary artist working in many fields, including analog photography, sculpture, drawing and painting, and a vast array of other things. Please welcome Caro Simon. Welcome.
Woo!
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Although we've already met.
How are you doing, Caro?
I'm good. I'm trying to relax after finals.
How was the ride here on the streetcar? Lovely streetcar.
Pretty smooth, I think. Someone was chewing gum really loudly, so we started to listen to some music, but...
Yeah. As obviously all three of us here know your practice quite well, but I was wondering if you could talk about sort of how you started at OCAD to where you are now at OCAD, about to be in your final year and graduating with your practice.
Yeah, I started out in drawing and painting, which was okay, I think. It was online, so not very entertaining. But then I came to OCAD on my second year. I moved to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started doing printmaking, and I think that changed. And I started talking with Allison, who's a printmaker at OCAD, and she said, you should change your program and do sculpture instead. So I did that. Took a leap of faith. And then I moved into the coolest program at OCAD, I think.
Yeah.
When you so you joined during the online time.
Yeah.
When you found OCAD, was it just an ad on YouTube or on the side of a page, a blog?
Okay, the funny thing is I actually applied to Arnhem, which is an experimental school in the Netherlands. I got accepted. And then I was like, oh, I don't want to stay in Europe. So I'm going to just type, what's the best art school in Canada? I saw that it was OCAD, applied. I did my portfolio in 2 weeks, and then I got accepted. So I was like, okay, I'm doing this.
So the advertising budget is working.
It is,
yeah,
actually.
It popped up at the top.
That's crazy. And what has your perception of OCAD been thus far, knowing that you've studied in other countries and stuff?
I have to say OCAD is really nice to people in comparison to Europe, where they tend to be destroying your ego, and then you have to build up your experiences and such. It's been great, but the community is not very tight.
Mm.
Mainly because it's a community.
Yeah, because they're not trauma bonding,
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Everyone's so nice to each other,
yeah.
which isn't bad in itself, but...
Well, my roommate calls OCAD a degree factory.
It's a puppy school.
Yeah.
Didn't Wolfgang say, he's like, is there any competition in this school?
Yeah.
And we're like,
Not really.
I mean, there is, but it's not real competition.
See, I feel it's it borders on this thing where it's competition. It's oh yeah, there's obviously we're all competing for jobs and stuff, but we're not gonna say it to each other's face. Everybody is super friendly about it,
Yeah.
I mean, I know for a fact in thesis and stuff, it completely changes as soon as they start talking about metals and stuff, and all of a sudden everybody's fucking wired. But other than that, there's never any competition in any class. It's everyone does the work and everyone's like, wow, this looks great. Even if it's
barely gets a critique, yeah.
yeah, I just...
How has thesis been with critiques? You're in cross thesis, or
Yeah, I'm in cross thesis.
how is that?
I guess it's just the feedback is not sufficient because you're with people from drawing and painting, from printmaking, photography, which in itself is quite interesting because you could get many feedback, but people are not showing up for you. So it's just sculptors giving feedback to sculptors. So it's basically as if this was a sculptor thesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was told that it was going to be a great experience, but I'm a little disappointed.
In the ad?
Yeah.
How have you found so far? Has thesis helped you in any way, or has it just been sort of a challenge and extra work?
It's been extra work and challenge in a good way because you have time to focus on your work and you get quite good advice from the advisors. So it pushes you to seek further and dig deeper into your practice. it depends what you take out of this, right?
For sure.
Mhm.
It has to come from you.
You say that the criticism is, I guess, not sufficient. Is that because there isn't enough like harsher constructive criticism with the projects that sort of push you forward? It's lacking that European edge,
Oh,
école des
totally.
beaux-arts type of.
Well,
teaching.
it is. Because you
Yeah.
have nothing that, like, the way I work is like, I appreciate when people tell me this is not working.
Yeah.
You have to change this, and it pushes me to seek better
Yeah,
options.
absolutely
And that's
agree.
not happening, right? So it has to come from me and from my advisors, which works, but also
Yeah.
it's great to see what other people think.
And
about
there's
your
there's
work.
kind of like a weird power dynamic because my thesis prof, he's pretty soft, you know. Everything is great. And then it's just
Yeah.
like you're looking at something and you know it's not great. There's things that could be improved. The whole 9 yards. But you don't feel inclined to speak about it because it's just like I don't want to go against a prof.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter in the end because once you get the marks back, everyone is like 62%.
Jesus.
It's just like I thought everything was great.
Yeah, I feel like, at least for me in my thesis and stuff, it's like, it's very similar, but there is still like sort of that thing where like
Oh, they're mean.
they're very mean
They
to
can
each
be
other.
mean.
Like, it's I guess following that, how have you found is like the critiques and stuff in sculpture different than in drawing and painting? Like, what is the sort of like?
Well, we take like 30 minutes per person, so it's an extensive critique. And everyone engages in different ways, but it's very conceptual in general. So it's not just, oh, I like the brush strokes, or not that anything is bad with that, but it's digging a deeper in what the person's practice is and what we can help for them to get better.
For sure.
But yeah.
And having like been given the option, do you think you would have gone into sculpture originally in the first place when applying to OCAD, or is it sort of
Yeah.
just something that naturally fell into place?
Well, both, but also it was easier for online classes to be in drawing and painting because you can practice it at home. I had a pretty good basis in drawing from my design school in France, but I think it was fine to start like that. Obviously, I would have wanted to start my first year in sculpture, but that would have been a bit complicated without studio access. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think it was for people that started at their first year in 2020. It's probably a lot to deal with.
Carl, you work with a lot of mediums, and I'd say you're a very contemporary artist. I'm just curious, what sort of discipline would you describe yourself as? Like, what would you describe your own artwork as?
Probably multidisciplinary.
Multidisciplinary?
Bordering on photography,
Mm-hmm.
sculptural installation, and then printmaking, drawing.
Yeah. But
Like
it-
everything it's like a holistic practice where everything informs the next step.
Is there a movement that you can attach yourself to, like a sort of neo avant-garde or something?
I don't think a lot of people know about it. I think I've introduced it in some classes, so people started mentioning it, but it's called post-vandalism. It's a term coined by Stefano Bartsley. I think it was coined in 2019, 2018, and it's basically the post-graffiti street scene that moves into contemporary spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that look like, and how do we bring the urban built environment into an aesthetic realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm not saying that I'm fully like
Yeah.
attaching my work to this, but it's definitely
Uh-huh.
something where I feel a big attachment to.
I think like that's the fascinating thing about like art movements though, is like, you know, you can coin yourself as being part of it and stuff, but it takes the like viewer and stuff like decades later to be like, oh yeah, they were distinctly part of this movement, right? Like I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on like, you know, being like, oh, like I have to be part of like this movement or this sort of contemporary sort of group of artists and stuff, but we don't know how historians and art historians are going to look back on this period of art. They may even just look back at it and be like, this was like the lowest of low art possible.
The
But I mean-
causism. Causism.
I mean, self-identifying with a movement definitely helps you position yourself in the contemporary scene. I think that you don't necessarily have to follow all the requirements or anything, but
Mm-hmm. So do these post-vandals, do they have a manifesto?
That's a good question.
You should be the one to write the manifesto, because
Mm.
every solidified art movement in history has a manifesto.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So
Let's email Stefano.
Yeah.
I actually was in contact with one of the post-vandalists, Mike Ballards. I interviewed him for a class last year.
Oh, nice.
And he was like, oh, no, I'm not part of post-vandalism. And then 3 months later, he was part of a big exhibition of the first exhibition of post-vandalism in Italy. And I was like, oh, okay.
Just kind of, sitting on the fence post.
180.
So
Yeah.
did he speak about it, or was
I
he
asked him, I suggested, I told him, oh, are you part of post-vandalism? Because your work is, he takes, what do you call it? Hoardings, and then makes 3D sculptures with them and paintings. He basically just talks about the, what do you call it? Undesired art making made by people on the streets. And I asked him, are you part of post-vandalism? He's, no, I don't partake in any of those.
Any of those.
Those suspect movements.
So how would you describe this movement then? Is it the material? Is it just like the urban space? Is it how does one thing become post-vandalism and not vandalism? Not to say like that.
Well,
it's like the
Pre-vandalism.
the pre-vandalism, yeah.
Because we talk about it all the
I
time.
don't know if you want to answer this.
We can
but-
both answer it, but we saw some in Amsterdam.
We'll rate each of your answers.
Yes.
Okay, you go first.
No, you
then.
go first. You want to go.
What the fuck? All right.
You gotta go first.
All right. So like, the difference between post-vandalism and vandalism is the notion.
And pre-vandalism.
Pre-vandalism. Well, that's just a wall.
Cave drawing.
That's just like whatever. I like the sort of thing is like taking vandalism and recognizing it beyond it just being a destructive sort of motion or like action in public space, and recognizing like already within like graffiti and stuff, it's like arguably the notion of saying that like the removal of graffiti or the action of graffiti being on a surface and disappearing, or any mark in a public space being there and acting as a reminder of like human interaction, acts as post-vandalism. It's the time and space after vandalism has occurred, and it takes an artist to sort of basically say this is of aesthetic purpose and can be held to an aesthetic property above just being vandalism.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would also say that all the artists were still are writers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the common thing. Writers are weed pasters, so I think there's this relationality with the urban built environment. But then, as you said, I mean, you're working with that too in your thesis, right?
Yeah.
It's about letting galleries believe that it's worth of. I mean, you think it's of aesthetic value, but you also, it's kind of like a sarcastic move towards galleries, because you let them think, oh, this is actually art, but it's right taken from the street. So the context that the art finds itself in changes its value,
I think
and
like
it gains in value once it's in a white cube, and I think it's hilarious.
a good example is oh man, I forget her name. She put the like electric boxes.
Oh my god, what's her name? We saw it in Amsterdam.
Anyways, basically like what she does is she's one of the first like people that was really coined as a post-vandalist. Is
She's
she
from the 90s or 80s.
Yeah, she was like going around Europe, and she'd collect like the electric boxes that sit on the side of the road, to like the junction boxes and stuff that had been vandalized and tagged. And she took them as an object from the street, physically removed them, and then put them in like the gallery space. And the act was basically her saying that like the composition has already been created through subconscious action in the street. Like people have written tag it and stuff, and they had no sort of action in putting it into the gallery. They just tagged it because they knew it was going to be in public and living as a piece of, visual culture in the streets.
Well, it's like a ready-made,
Yeah.
contemporary ready-made.
Who do you think would have the copyright to that? The person who put in the gallery, the taggers, or the city?
That's where like post-vandalism straddles this line, right?
About
Like
authorship and
like that is the question of who controls work, right? It's the
Yeah.
same argument. For example, like there was a famous court case down in Los Angeles where a street artist had done some stuff on the wall, like he just painted a bunch of lines and stuff, and H&M filmed an advertisement in front of it, and he ended up trying to sue H&M for using his work to sell stuff, and the court basically came out and said you cannot copyright or claim something that's been done illegally in the street because, one, you don't own the property it was painted on, you didn't get permission. Two, you're not identifying your actual identity, first name, last name, you're using a moniker. And three, it's in a public space, so if it gets filmed regardless by anybody else, that is like the authorship. You haven't been paid to make this, therefore you can't then, when there's an opportunity to be paid, get paid for it. It's this question of, if you're going out and tagging, you can't claim that as authorship because you don't own the surface. You've never been commissioned. And I think that's where it straddles this line too of, like, you know, if a surface is tagged out in public and stuff, we call it a vandalized surface. The second that surface is put into a gallery, it is given the opportunity to be something that is held to aesthetic value.
Which is like great, but also so ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, at least what I've seen in that, now that I understand post-vandalism, is that there is like a big connection to like fashion now, where they hire sort of writers. Like I saw like Moose Knuckle and like Poser do the one in Yorkdale or something. And I mean, are they hired post-vandals by trade, or is that something completely different?
I think there's still graffiti artists.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
It's just gentrification that comes with that too. Like nowadays you talk about street art, it's mainly commodified murals.
That did literally like notions on a whole other thing of like the idea of like post graffiti, that we've entered a sort of era or renaissance of graffiti, where graffiti has been commodified and accepted so much by society that, you know, graffiti art can act as something you get commissioned and paid for.
Right.
Whereas, yeah, even like 10 years ago, if you said, oh yeah, I'm a graffiti writer or I'm a graffiti artist, you're doing it illegally. There's no ways for to do it and stuff. But because of sort of the way that street art has taken off, the way that, you know, artists have been accepted into being like public space can be painted and stuff, it blurs this line between what do we call graffiti, right? Because there's graffiti vandalism, and then on the other far extreme, there's graffiti art. One you get paid for, one you go to jail for. There's still most graffiti people that like graffiti will sit somewhere in the middle, where it's like, if I have the opportunity, I'll get paid for it, but I'm also still going to do it because I love it.
It's not just graffiti. Like, it's also wheat paste. Like,
Yeah.
the language and just the value of it has changed so much. My friend Tim from Belgium, he is a big wheat paster, and we used to do it together. And he basically started out as like a vandal, what they call a vandal, and then he got commissions in France, Belgium, Germany, and now wheat pastes for cities. So it's truly what people define as being valuable, right? For them.
Yeah. Belgium is known for another type of wheat, you know, their beer.
That's
What?
That's a
I didn't hear the last part. What?
Their beer.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a great transition.
great. So, what's your
Is it-
favorite beer, Carl?
It's called Une Pêche. It's like the sweetest beer you have.
Is it Belgium?
Yeah.
Of course.
I don't
They
remember.
make
the
best.
greatest manufacturer
I
of
think it's
beer.
a Kronenberg, but I don't remember. It's just peach beer.
Oh,
That's the only thing I can drink.
It's very sweet.
It's
That sounds
so
cool.
Yummy. It's almost like juice.
It tastes like I don't know if you guys ever had like peach Schweppes, like
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sure.
the very like syrupy stuff. It's like that in a beer. It's
Yeah.
full.
It's dangerous.
It gets you really drunk because it's like a high sugar beer.
So let's talk about a pour technique. Do you have the head on the beer, or are you like no head on the beer? Well, what if you had two
foam.
beers? The foam.
Oh, foam is so important.
Foam. Okay, foam is
Very-
important, but
You learn it
culture.
the
very
hard
Yeah.
I can't remember.
See,
the
when
word.
I do it, it's all foam.
Yeah.
I forget to tilt the glass.
the Belgian way.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about this. Like, I got schooled on how to pour beer
Okay,
in
yeah.
Belgium. It's
My
like,
mom is like pure Belgian. She's like the pure immigrant mom who's like, you can't do it like that. She was like, tilt it and then wait and be patient.
There was
Now you must have another.
I was just
Exactly.
trying to
Do it right.
trying to go for that, like, you know, like that perfect,
Yeah.
like you're like, and it's like, oh, no head. And then I was doing that, and it was like I had broken like the Belgian law or something.
Yeah,
And they were
exactly.
calling, like the beer police.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, officer. Damn, I didn't give you enough head on your beer.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme just comes and tackles you to the ground. So every country says, you know, they have the best beer. You know,
That's true.
Germany,
Yeah.
England, wherever, France.
But it seems like,
They have the best wine.
but every
Does-
country in Europe also says they have like the best chocolate, and they have the best wine,
Yeah.
and they have the best
But
like.
truly,
Does
we
Belgium?
all know it's Belgium.
I believe so. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't think
Yeah.
I'm
of
not gonna argue.
I will bring you guys chocolate.
I can't think of a prefix for a waffle that's not Belgium. You know, or Belgian waffle, Belgian
Waffle
chocolate.
Tuesday.
Belgian beer, Belgian moon,
Belgian Moon is a good one.
Belgian.
Can you believe it
fries.
doesn't taste like
Yeah.
orange and the
Frites.
guy's shaped like an orange?
Oh, that's a gross beer though, like that one there.
The Belgian Moon?
Oh no, I thought you were talking about Shock Top.
What?
That one's also from Belgium. It's like a Belgium white with like citrus in it. It's not good. Anyways,
I prefer that collective art.
We went on a
Carl,
tangent here.
yeah, this is
You
a big
are a
tangent.
photographer. Yes.
Maybe.
Okay. How do you decide what you're gonna take a picture of? Because I see a pattern, but I want you to tell me.
You see a pattern.
Yes.
Pattern recognition.
Patterns have been recognized.
The pattern might include like urban infrastructure,
Okay.
good lighting,
Mm-hmm. How the light,
nice colors.
nice colors.
But they're
and-
black and white.
Sometimes.
Okay.
And black and white, yeah. I recently started shooting in color. It's hard to go back to black and white after that.
Are you influenced at all by brutalism?
Yeah. Most definitely.
What about minimalism?
For sure.
What about
Even post-minimalism.
post
If you want.
minimalism?
What
Although
about
that's a little different.
leanderism?
Leanderism.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
That's a new term.
That's
That's
a new
like
one.
that's like the exploration of like liminal space.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
We
from
coined
the-
it.
Yeah, from last week's
Yes,
podcast.
yes.
2 weeks
2
ago.
weeks ago, yeah.
You made me think a lot about liminal spaces after that.
Yeah.
But I'm not so familiar with Toronto, so.
Is there Belgian liminal spaces?
Oh, there is. There's so many abandoned
there?
buildings.
What is like
And
oh sorry.
No, go
You
ahead.
first. I was gonna say what is like one place like in Belgium that like would be amazing to photograph for you to like describe sort of your aesthetic and stuff? Like are there any places where you'd be like, yes, this exactly is like where I'd go and just like shoot all day?
there's a lot of World War II abandoned buildings in the forest. I think that's probably where I would shoot all day. Just because people have tagged over it and it's. You can
Mhm.
still see like bullet traces in the building, so.
That's crazy.
And World War One.
Sorry?
And World War One.
And World War
Yeah,
One.
Belgium didn't catch a break.
Nope.
No, they did not. Kind of like yeah, right.
So
in the
that's the
middle.
beauty of Europe. I haven't been to Europe in over 10 years, but the history and like the age of like some of these buildings, right? You don't really get the opportunity to see something from the Middle Ages
Mhm.
in Toronto.
Well, it's like me when I was in Brussels. Caro showed me some like it was like 16th or 17th century like houses,
Mhm.
and they're just sitting there, like they're just there, and you're like,
Completely tilted.
it's like what, it's like what the hell? How can this just be like here accessible to the public? Like I don't understand. If that was in Toronto,
Yeah.
like it would be a condo. They'd be like, oh, 17th century condo.
But see, there's like a common agreement in Europe, I think, on
Toronto even
respecting
here
the
in this
buildings, right? Like people don't. Okay, they tag them, but they don't tag them like here
Do you know what?
because they have such an historic value.
You know what story I want you to tell is the one of when you first came to Toronto and your experience with the buildings.
Oh,
around
the
you and
fake
stuff.
buildings.
Yes.
Oh yeah, on Yonge Street, there's one specific building in front of almost Eaton Center, and I'm just walking and I look at it and I'm like, this looks old, but it's not old.
Yeah.
But then you explain it to me that they're building buildings that appear old, but they're what, maybe what,
For
60 years old,
aesthetics.
70?
100 years
It's like
old.
100 years.
Max.
like Casaloma. It's like what a jip that is. You know?
Built in fucking like
Yeah.
70s. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, like
But
It's
it's
not a
kitsch.
castle.
Yeah, it is. But it's like, it's to fit into that thing where it's like, you know, like every place in North America loves to like idolize Europe and be like, oh my gosh, it's like the
They do, but they also
birthplace
don't.
of.
Well,
Why?
you know,
Why though?
nothing's better than the original. So they're trying their best.
the original.
Fellow European.
Yeah.
What do you find is like for you the difference between Europe and North America for photography when you're finding like subject matter?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Me too.
I think I think here you have so much concrete that it's just easy
Mm-hmm.
to go on a photo walk and you shoot maybe like a whole roll and then 3 of them are good, but you have so much more to like capture because it's so saturated in texture and different buildings, just that.
Does your practice ever leave the urban environment and like go into rural places, forests even?
Yeah,
Can nature translate into your artwork?
absolutely, but it
Mhm.
always includes some kind of build structure.
Yeah, it's like a
Mhm.
human element.
Yeah,
Mm.
human intervention on.
I know. I was
the
going to ask
environment.
about the nature of post-vandalism. Is it solely reliant on like subconscious art and ready-mades?
No,
not?
it's not.
No. Okay.
That's where I have some issues. Is that this morning I even watched one of the post vandalists just preparing some prints, and it's the like active act of saying I'm just making a mark and I'm going to pretend that it was very unprepared. So there's this balance between I took it from the streets and I'm reproducing it
Mm-hmm.
into something that looks like it's from the streets.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also like there's this line that's straddled that like not all things that are part of like post vandalism or being considered that have to be like a human interaction. Sometimes it's like a bird has like flown into a window and created like a crack, or like
Ouchie.
the paint has naturally deteriorated from like rain, right? So I guess like within the movement itself, there's also like subcategories where you can like classify it as like, you know, act of God, where like, you know, like
Yeah.
a tree has fallen and crushed a car, and then the car is there, but the tree is gone because they've removed the tree, but now there's this like smashed car, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, it's the notion of the like the only human element that is required is that there's been like,
Traces.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like an index.
Traces, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would pay both of you to have this conversation with my dad.
Jesus.
If you can convince him.
Is he a skeptical?
I could barely have this conversation with like my parents. Like they'll be
don't
they're
understand
sitting there,
it.
they're like, oh.
Anybody over the age of 30.
I mean
It's
like
barred
even,
from post-vandalism.
even the advisors at
They don't understand it.
they don't get. One of the advisors was looking at me funny because I said that graffiti was art, and he was like, "What? Graffiti's art?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, so if you can't even accept graffiti as art, you're definitely not going to be able to get this. A buff is art."
Yeah,
And
it's
he's
just
like,
it's funny. This is just like a few blocks away from the Keith Haring.
It's like it's
exhibit.
literally like I can't. I
It's
didn't
like,
think
bro,
about that.
go walk across the street.
I think it's crazy, but he's doing it with like chalk too, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
like
So where does an artist like Keith Haring fall into post-vandalism,
He was.
or does he not?
I think his work is too political for post vandalism.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
also like I think he's like physically part of the act
Yeah.
of vandalism,
Or it's just
right?
like too pictorial, even. That
Not-
it's just like
I think it is actually.
yeah, that's just not like indexes of like. It's just like not like indexes of
Okay,
human presence.
so-
It's
so
just like
I guess an example could be
Okay.
like Keith Haring has done a drawing in the subway
yes.
and stuff on that black paper. Someone has come along and ripped that down because they
Mhm.
wanted to keep it. But part of the image he's drawn is still there as like a ghost trace or has come off on the part of the wall.
I see.
That is the notion
Yeah.
of like
Uh-huh.
post-vandalism, because the vandalism is gone, but there's still a trace or a remnant or
Okay.
a mark of
I
that
see.
action.
Yeah, when someone
Yes,
takes
no?
someone takes a Keith Haring,
From the AGO.
it's in the 80s, if someone took a Keith Haring, it was because it was a Keith Haring, and because it was a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another great way to look at it would be, for example, Banksy. Banksy comes, he sprays a stencil on a wall. That is a street art.
Yes.
It's a street
Yeah.
art. He's created a piece of street art. Someone comes along, cuts a fucking hole in that wall, takes that street art, puts it in the gallery. That street art that's in the gallery, that's
Yeah.
not post-vandalism, but the
the
hole
whole
that's
wall
been
is-
left in
yeah.
the wall where the original shit was removed,
Yeah.
that's the post-vandalism, because they have
Yeah.
done something after the vandalism has occurred that adds more to the conversation. It brings the stuff that we would generally say this is not art and brings it to the forefront and challenges that notion and says, why can't this
Yeah.
be a composition?
And then someone cuts out the hole of the
hole,
bank,
exactly.
The hole in the wall.
and then just
it
like the
becomes-
landowner's just like, what the fuck?
And then the building collapses and then it's a pile of
I'm just a
rubble.
landlord. My property's gone. Damn, those pesky artists.
Carl, I always notice that you're drippy as hell. So can we do a fit check?
I have to stand up.
You could,
If
you
you
could do it
wish.
for the chair. Or,
You know.
Yeah, whatever you want. Yeah.
That's like
And disclose the price of everything in
Yes,
euros.
in euros.
in euros.
No, I'm kidding. You don't have to.
I wear a lot of collusion. I think it's almost a full collusion.
Where is
outfit.
collusion from?
It's like a UK brand.
UK.
Do you believe
Street
the
brand.
Trump administration colluded with Russia?
And to
talking
your
about
chain.
collusion.
My chain.
Yeah.
Vitaly?
Oh, yeah. Vitaly is now very mainstream.
Mm.
But this is from like 2019.
So before it was cool.
Yeah,
You know,
before it was cool.
you posted on your Instagram story once that Pandora charms are like the cancer of jewelry.
You remember
I
that?
remember that because Victoria sent that to me. Like, what does she mean by this? So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Vitaly is moving into those Pandora bracelets.
Yeah.
Tendencies, or what are you? Tendencies?
Tendencies, yeah.
Tendencies.
Okay.
And it just looks super kitsch, and it doesn't
Yeah.
fall into the category of like urban
I see.
jewelry.
It's just
right?
like too much. Like they're doing it just to sell
Well, you can
stuff.
clearly tell that they're aiming it towards like influencers that are
Mm. Yeah.
softies.
Like, I mean, like, for me, Vitaly went downhill as soon as they were like, oh, look, Kim Kardashian wore this at the thing. Kylie Jenner had this on in this photo shoot. And I'm like, the second that you start trying to, like, angle yourself as, like, oh, we're, like, hip-hop, we're, like,
Underground brand.
anti-culture and this
Yeah.
stuff. And the next thing you know, like, actually, we're, like, on all these celebrities. You kind of just, like, shoot yourself
Yeah.
in the foot. You become the sellout, you know?
See, if you really want to be underground, you have to find like a rapper, but not a successful one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're always making T-shirts, or just like something. It'll always say like "Young Six Savage" something, and it's just like a font they download and it's like ironed on. That's the real
From,
underground
like,
shit.
Duff on.
$80 a T-shirt.
$8.
Yeah,
Plus
that's how you
free
have to.
download of my mixtape on that pitch.
Yeah, but well, I was just joking. But there's so many people who just want to make clothing brands.
Yeah.
And it's just a Gildan T-shirt and just text,
Yeah.
and it's just like, what are you doing that's different?
So, Carl, when are you going to release your own clothing brand? Since you're always drippy, you must know a thing or two about fashion.
I don't know. We've talked about it because I screen print a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then again, it's always this question of what are you adding to the conversation? Like you
Right.
said,
Yeah.
a lot of people are just screen printing.
Mhm.
Like Paranoid here in Toronto. I used to find it so cool. But then, like, just the quality of the T-shirts
Yeah.
are really bad after a few washes. And they don't really add anything
Mhm.
to the conversation except for being so famous now in
Yeah.
Toronto. And it's made in Toronto. So that I think that's
Yeah.
attractive.
That is the conversation.
Well, I
right?
think there's like a
They
difference
got a cool mural.
between like screen printed T-shirts on like, I guess, like reclaimed vintage, because it's just like you're
Yeah.
buying an artwork. If you're buying like a ironed on rapper SoundCloud
That's what I like
text,
about Darren's
T-shirt.
work.
Well,
That he
yeah,
he goes and he finds all the stuff. all
Yeah.
the shirts.
Because I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't know if I would call like Paranoid like a fashion company, right?
No,
They'd be
they're
more of
so
just
much.
like screen printing
they're
or
industrial
merchandise,
printing,
right?
Yeah.
Now they are, yeah.
Yeah, like they've
Yeah.
pivoted their whole brand too. Like they do
Yeah, yeah.
custom orders and stuff now.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I think it's like this thing where it's like anyone can just like print 5,000
Yeah.
shirts and stuff of like one design. And
Oh yeah,
I
and
think
get
it's
it
about the
sent.
concept too, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think there's just like a epidemic of people who just like buy Gildan and like iron something on and
With
call
like
themselves
no
a fashion
movement
brand.
or like
500
movement,
bucks.
nothing. $500.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of one.
It's like
Good.
an epidemic of people going on like Fiverr and being like, design
Yeah.
me a T-shirt for my rap career,
Mhm.
and then they spend like $20 on a T-shirt.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
like-
Just go on like a Fiverr, get a graphic designer, and just like a guy in ski mask says like Savage on the bottom, and then you get the design. Go to another guy, get it screen printed or,
I mean,
or
like,
ironed on.
Listen, like the craziest thing about like the industry and stuff now too is that like a lot of these like companies that say like, oh, 100% designed in house and stuff, they're literally like they're shipping their work off to somebody else to do
Yeah.
for like pennies, and then they're selling their design
Mhm.
for like a huge markup. Like that's just
Yeah.
the industry now. Like it's a really cutthroat,
Yeah.
grueling thing.
I think if you you want to be a fashion brand, you gotta like design your own cuts of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that would be the bare minimum for me.
And upcycle them. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
so much clothes. You
Yeah.
don't need to buy brand new t-shirts.
Oh yeah, exactly right. There's just so much material laying around.
No. I know, like, I'm seeing this, but, like, I know you were starting to sew some stuff together, too. Are you fascinated in going into that sort of, like, path of upcycling clothes and creating, like, stuff? Or what do you see as, like, the potential for creating something really cool?
In fashion?
Yeah. Using, like, your practice, obviously, as, like, a sculptor and a painter and a printer
Concrete
and a
shirt.
photographer.
Concrete shirts.
The armor.
See, that's what the
Good.
mafia wished they had back in the day. Just throw you into the lake.
I'll let you make your
float to the
point. but I
bottom.
was going to say
But
something.
yeah.
I don't know, honestly. I like sewing, but I don't know where it's going yet.
I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool. Concrete jewelry or keychains. Something concrete.
That's heavy.
You know,
Concrete
or
I
is
mean,
shoes.
it doesn't have to be heavy.
It's
Or
like,
just like something-
rebar and concrete, but like really tiny.
No, but it's just like some
That's
sort of
the
some sort of detail you can attach to your outfit.
the
that
rebar
has
are your
concrete.
links, and then concrete is the jewel.
I got
Sorry,
it.
guys, I'm losing my
No,
pen.
no,
And
I
then-
got it. I got it.
Co-
I got it, guys.
Concrete earring. Okay.
No.
They do that already.
Pandora bracelet,
Oh.
concrete
Concrete.
charms.
Oh yeah, that would be.
See, this is
Now
urban.
that's
Like,
urban.
you're like,
That's nice.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
That's that urban touch.
That's
between-
urban.
It got the limestone embezzlements. Don't
This one-
sleep.
This one got the quartz.
Yeah.
No, it's quartz is too
this one,
fancy.
this one, the quickcrete set in 30
Quickcrete.
minutes.
Piece of the gardener in there.
It got sand.
Yeah, I know who your first customer would be. His name starts with a C and ends with Anoopsi.
I mean, we have the
Also
same
a
hair,
brutalist
so-
fan.
Oh my god. It's brutal. So now that you're moving in, like let's pivot this conversation back. Now that you're moving into your final semester at OCAD, what are some things you're looking forward to after graduating?
Being free.
Mm.
Just being free and being able to create whatever I want. And also just entering the industry, I guess. Whatever that industry will be.
What do you have left for next semester? What do you got cooking? What's planned?
Yeah, what's cooking?
As in, like, what classes I have?
Yeah, what classes? What area of study?
I'm done with theory classes, so that's
Mm.
good. I just have to do screen printing, like just printmaking
That's cool.
and
That's
thesis.
nice.
The only class that pays for itself.
Yeah,
Let
sell
me-
the brands.
Yes, unless they come in, they're like, oh, actually, we need 3 of your prints to sell at the
The
OCAD print
prints,
sale.
yeah.
Give
Well,
the shit.
We're
on
taking the
it.
best.
Yeah, it's actually like,
They changed that because when I had my first screen printing class, they didn't take any prints. I just
Yeah.
kept the best ones.
The same, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Wow, guys, it's our first year back, and we sold 80% of our prints because it's the first print sale we've had in 3 years." Go figure, everything's sold. There's like nothing
Yeah,
left.
all the heat's gone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
we're
It's
all
like
really
from the
go.
70s and whatnot. Yeah, last year's GradX print sale, not that good.
no.
I wasn't.
Just
I
the
got one
scraps
print.
from the year before.
I got one print.
The
Like
la-
a stop
the-
sign.
2 years ago was heat.
Oh
You
That
got that
was
whole
God.
like
fire.
$50 like.
I copped a few.
Yeah, you got
That
that
was-
comic. That was
Oh my
really
god,
cool.
yeah, I have
Yeah.
that.
Oh, the huge one.
It's framed. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got it framed.
Oh,
now.
nice.
My
With the
dad,
birdie.
my dad, he like he works in an office building and stuff, and they had all this like generic like
Mhm.
you know printouts of like wall paintings and stuff.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
a group of like 7 or whatever painting, like really shit reproduction.
Mhm.
He sends me this picture. He's like, "Do you want this picture frame?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." In the photo, he's like super up close to the edge of it, so it looks like it's just like a normal picture frame. I come home, there's this picture frame that's like the size of that print, so it's like probably like
My size.
yeah, it's basically a meter long. And
Jeez,
so I'm
yeah,
looking
yeah.
at it, I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna put in this? And he's like, I don't know. You said you wanted it. So figure it out. So then I was cleaning my room and I saw that print in a roll, and I was like, holy shit.
Perfect.
It
You
fit
found a home.
literally perfect.
Oh,
Like,
amazing.
literally like
That's
edge to
awesome.
edge. Didn't even have to trim it. And I was just like, there's
Yeah.
no way. Like it was like
Damn.
meant to be. And
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's funny because it's like a really like
Mhm.
ornate gold frame. 'Cause it's- so it's like this comic strip in this like
Yeah.
comically large, goofy gold like.
It's very maximalist.
You know what kind of bugs me sometimes when buying like art or a print is when you know the artist finishes the artwork in like some goofy aspect ratio, you know, where it's just like instead of like
That's
11 by 14, it's like let's do 11 by 16, and it's just like great. Now I have to get it custom framed.
Yeah.
But I remember I bought a print from you, and it was I remember this. It was 14 by 17. I was like, where the fuck am I gonna find a 14 by 17?
Oh, it was
frame.
the rice paper, Japanese paper.
It was like it was a pretty thick paper. What?
I
It-
think
it
it was,
was-
the Japanese.
was
Is it orange and green?
Yeah, there's like an orange shape, and then there's like a green.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Japanese.
It's Japanese
paper.
It's
paper?
Japanese.
Oh, I don't remember. It's been
I
a
guess it
while.
is thick, but not that
Yeah.
thick.
It's like a different kind of thick. It's
Okay,
like you
yeah.
can't rip it. It's like, but
Yeah.
it's like really thin.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't remember the paper
I
stock
apologize for,
but
for that.
I got it framed because
Ooh.
apparently Indigo Books, I guess at the time they sold weird sized frames. Yeah.
Weird size frame. That's interesting.
14 by 17, 11 by 15.
How do you choose what size to print at?
I do the design and then I see what paper fits it.
Hmm.
So it's basically like screw the customer, they can figure it out. Go
Yeah.
to Indigo,
Yeah.
get a frame.
Enough of the
Don't go to Indigo
sizes.
now.
You know,
Yeah.
let's look at the designs.
Oh,
So here we have some
Cool.
of your work here to show.
Yeah. That's a good one.
I remember this one very vividly. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
I love chairs.
You love chairs?
I love stacked stuff.
It's very cool the way it makes like an abstracted shape. You know, it's almost like arrows pointing up and down.
Yeah, but you know, like I'm very slow at taking my pictures. I take like at least 5 minutes to figure out
Well, that's good.
if everything is perfect.
What do you shoot on?
I shoot on a Minolta
Do
35.
you have a light meter?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, nice.
click.
Looks great.
Click, click.
But you usually use the meter built into the camera, no?
Yeah, and then I decide whatever I want.
Yeah, yeah.
So here we have a picture.
It's almost like mountains or like
Small little buildings on
little
top of it.
castles.
There is a sun.
Yes.
Are you into constructivism, like Soviet avant-garde, in, like early 20th century?
It was very pictorial, no? Or was there
No, it
sculpture
was
as well?
it was very abstract. It was just like mostly just shapes.
Yeah.
No,
like
no
squares and-
forms or anything. Just like geometric shapes.
Yeah, I think I
And,
remember.
and like their sculptures were also very geometric. and almost like very engineered, just like using ropes to like hold tension, and then just like having pieces of wood just kind of balance out, just because like the tension is keeping it balanced.
That's interesting.
Your work kind of reminds me of constructivism in the way that you can kind of pull these abstract geometric forms from seemingly just from life. Yeah.
Or they're like happenings. So there's like a happening between light, urban built environment, and then me noticing it.
Urban environments. All it needs is a big tag.
A big tag.
Yeah.
You can see there used to be
big
one there.
throwy.
Yeah.
Is that how the like rectangle over the bike locks? Are those even bike locks?
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
It's very brutalist.
Very
Do you know
brutalist
where
bike
this
lock.
is?
No.
It's a better question.
I know where it is.
So do I.
It's
I don't.
okay, you guys can gatekeep this one, you know. You
You've
can
de-
lock
You
your
just have
bikes
to follow
there.
John Street.
You've definitely walked past this, like,
This is John Street under a
We'll-
bridge.
We'll go for a walk.
Yes.
You fuck with the ball game?
What?
That's all I'm gonna say.
Ball game?
That's all I'm gonna
There's
say.
the
El
Scotiabank
Mordino, that
Arena.
one?
No, no.
No?
Oh, I don't know.
The ball game.
Skydome, Rogers Center.
Oh,
The ball
that ball game.
Yeah, it's that one.
Quite a few ball games.
Yeah. I like how the sun makes flowers.
Flowers. I saw them as X's.
I mean, it's funny you interpret them as flowers.
They
I
kind of
I
look
know,
like
right?
poppies.
see them as like stars.
You know, guys, we're the ones. We're doing too much yapping.
Yeah,
You gotta let
you're
the
calm.
artist speak.
Please tell us.
I don't speak much. But
Oh.
I enjoy the comments.
Okay, good. Keep
So-
in like a neutrality. We'll
Yeah.
give you a better criticism than the thesis advisors.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thesis advisors are great. It's
Oh,
just
okay. Thesis profs.
So why did you choose to take this photo?
Yes.
Because I have been pretty obsessed with window reflections. That's a little bit over now, but I don't know. It's the way it happens on, the way it reflects on the building. Yeah, that's it. It's purely pictorial.
Nice.
Interesting. Oh,
Is this through a window?
No,
this is one of those oopsie daisies that become.
I tried to get the shot before the first shot on your film.
Mhm.
Sometimes you
Oh.
can fake it.
Yeah, yeah.
Not fake it, but you can cheat.
Mm,
and get
sneak
half
an
a
extra
picture,
one, right?
yeah.
It looks exactly like a blind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't even think about that before.
me either.
Yeah.
See, I've always been fascinated by this one because I've always tried to figure out how like the black and white could turn red.
That's true.
What do
Oh,
you mean by that?
is it when you develop them? Don't they?
Oh,
no.
I changed the color
Oh fuck!
on
So
Photoshop.
so maybe.
Damn.
Okay, whoa.
It's been a lie.
Sorry guys, I'm a bit
It's like
slow.
Ernesto.
No, I actually thought that this one when it developed came out like red for some reason because of the way the
No.
light or something.
I
like,
wish, but no, it looks good in black and white too. But I decided to have it in like a red burgundy.
So it's just like a filter on
yeah,
top.
it is.
And what does red convey in this image?
Emergency. There's something
Get
about
out.
this that calls for emergency. I don't know why.
Holy shit! I remember this one too because like this was
It was in 2022.
yeah, but this was the house that had like barbed wire, and then on the barbed wire they had Christmas lights wrapped on the barbed wire.
Oh, that's on DuPont.
Yeah, but that's what the bottom right of this photo is.
This here's under DuPont. It's like
Is
a
Gary?
different building.
Lappin?
Maybe, I don't remember.
I think I remember seeing this. Anyways.
I'm curious, with your photographs, if you were to exhibit them, how large would you print these?
I've been told in thesis now that they had to be pretty large.
Yeah.
People are not satisfied with the small format,
Mhm.
like standardized print format.
Yeah.
So probably big. And I
Like-
think you get more out of it as well.
Like Tillman size.
I don't
Even
know.
bigger.
That's big.
Yeah.
Think bigger.
Think
bigger's
bigger.
better. In art, bigger's better.
Okay.
Only art though.
Only art.
Only art. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, what's the medium? Ink?
No, just pencil.
Pencil.
Probably like a 5B.
See, this doesn't feel very urban. Could you
Yes.
explain? Like, this feels a lot more organic than like the stuff.
You guys are exposing me. That's from 2021, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's like biomorphic forms.
This is
Park-
before the
park
big
runs.
city.
No, it was in the city.
Oh, okay.
The first weeks I was here.
Except in 2021, we couldn't go outside. So
You couldn't? You could.
Not in Toronto.
I mean,
In
like,
September, yeah.
well,
Maybe you need to get groceries. Dude, but it is fascinating now that like Mark and Alex say that like it definitely does speak a different language, but I can still see sort of like, you know, that this isn't like something that's soft. It still has very like hard, like a hardness to it, you know,
Mhm.
like stone or like concrete
Mhm.
or something. Like it's very, as much as it's organic, it also has like a.
I think it reminds me of Sandman. You know, it's like Sandman, you like
and
forms.
stuff. Yeah. How do you like get it? So like, is it just like shading?
Yeah.
And
That's that
everything?
shading.
That's crazy.
Not sporadic, but I draw pretty fast in general. I don't spend much time doing it.
What pencil do you use?
It's just a Stedler 5B, German.
a what?
Stedler?
That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Stadler.
Stedler.
Stadler.
How do you pronounce it?
Stadler.
Stadler.
Stadler,
Ugh.
yeah.
Stadler.
Stedler.
Actually.
Stadler. Mein Stadler.
It's broken.
Your Erdinger is served.
This one's fascinating because it's like hollow. It's like the structures are making a new structure out of the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a face?
There's a face.
There's always a face, dude. It's the eyes
I
are.
see. Yeah. The eyes are the dots.
Oh.
And
Yeah,
then
the
the mouth
vents.
is. It kind of looks like that guy.
That guy.
The true
Frowning.
artist of Toronto.
Oh my
The
god.
face. Do you see it?
Oh.
What face?
You know, true artistry.
Oh, into
The
the
guy.
microphone.
Teeth. Yeah, that
Sorry,
guy.
but
Honestly, now you say it, yeah, the two
Yeah,
vents
looks
of the
like
eyes.
his
Is
face.
you
the
guys
teeth.
ruined that
That's
picture now.
fucking brutal.
That is actually, I know what you're talking
That's
about.
fucking
Yeah, that's
brutal.
true.
That's terrible. Still lovely photo though.
Don't let him know where this is.
Don't let him. You're gonna come back. There's gonna be like a huge spray line on it or some shit. Like true artistry made this.
Oh, maybe you did it first, Caro, and he copied from you.
Most definitely.
Mm.
You got to speak on this one because there's no video for this.
Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
one has the computer sounds.
No, the interference in like telephones when
Oh yeah.
back in like the 90s and early 2000 in Europe, your radio would sense when you were gonna get a call or an SMS, what they call SMS in Europe, and so it would go like do right in the middle of the radio station program. But it's talking about like distance and interferences, but there's sensors in there that I programmed. It was supposed to be like a whole room of them, but the programming part took way longer with
Mhm.
silicone, and then there's a whole ultrasonic sensor in it that like detects movement. So there was like 3 phases. The closer you were, the louder it got. Yeah.
What gallery was this at? This was in OCAD, right?
Yeah, just OCAD. One of
'Cause
the
I
critique
remember
rooms.
going by. Well, it was the one on the. What's the one on the second floor called?
I think it was
At
in
a slate.
It was on the 404.
It was on
Ignite?
the.
404.
A fourth.
It was
So I
just
think
in
I
a-
remember.
Critique rooms.
Just in a crit room, yeah.
Yeah, photography crit room.
Isn't it amazing that? Sorry, this is on the side. Isn't it amazing that like some programs they have like whole rooms just for crit?
I know.
There's no studios for you, me, you. But drawing and painters, they get the room just to
Yeah.
use
Nice.
occasionally when they have to put up their work.
It's the funding.
Yeah, it is the funding.
What is the pink gelatinous ooze? spewing from the.
It's like a microscopic view of skin. It's a
Mm.
silicone cast that got
Really
colored.
jiggly.
Very jiggly.
The thing is, like, you didn't touch
Looks
on
like
it,
a
it's-
brain escaping.
uses a
the tube.
transducer.
Oh yeah, the transducer
Yeah.
would actually vibrate in that metal box. So that's how the sound emanates. You can put it on this table and it will resonate through the table.
PODCAD speaker? That's crazy.
Anyways,
sorry. I'm sorry.
What a very
dumpster speaker.
Shut the fuck. This is an example of your colored work, I think, where you're sort of starting to.
This is actually one of my favorite photographs when I saw you
Same.
share it. It's just something.
Oh, they're building that. That's the one they're building.
The bike path
Yeah. Is it a bike path
Yeah.
up there?
Underneath.
underneath. Yeah.
Underneath.
But above is.
But above is
the train.
The
Yeah.
train.
So
Okay.
basically, what they've done is at the DuPont Diamond, there where the train tracks intersect, they've built this so that the line that goes north to Richmond Hill and stuff can literally bypass the CN rail lines. And then with the old corridor where the rails used to be, so the bridge that goes across like DuPont and all those things and stuff, they're building a bike path that's going to connect to the one at Dundas West.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be able to ride your bike all the way from like way up from like where Stockyards is,
Yeah.
all the way like down into like where my house is.
Are you riding under that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't fucking trust that shit.
I
Collapse.
I rode my bike and I ended up like right here pretty much. And I was looking at this thing like, what? Why? I tried climbing in, but I couldn't find anywhere.
Really?
You felt like the apes and
Yeah,
2001:
yeah.
A Space Odyssey. Just
What are they building? What is this?
I definitely.
Yeah.
It adds to this composition for sure because it like dissects the sky there. Like there's only this like tiny little sliver of blue, and the rest is
Yeah.
like very like gray and just. I don't know. There's something about the rhythm of this photo where you can see it going behind this building, but there's just like so many layers.
Yeah,
It's
there's
like
like a
Yeah, it's just like
zigzag.
nicely.
And that yellow.
Everything's nicely stacked. It's a very like the it's a garbage can, right? The garbage can's very or bin. The garbage bin is very focal. Like this is the juiciest photo of a garbage bin I've seen. It's just like the way the yellow is pulled. But there's also like a kind of sense of I guess you could almost say liminal, because it feels like such a beautiful day. You almost expect there should be a person in this photo, but there isn't. You just have these sort of indexes that people are here, but you don't see anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mark,
it's
you have
quite
cracked the code.
uncanny.
I think in this one I'm actually like
Behind the
behind
bin? Oh.
behind that building too. Yeah, because I was taking a photo along the train tracks.
They're taking a shit.
Jesus Christ, Mark. 1 second, yeah, get your photo. I gotta go shit.
In
can see your
this dump.
shadow.
I'll be over here by the dumpsters. That's crazy. No, that's a really lovely composition though. And I love like the yellow from the road
reflection.
flows
Yeah.
into them, and then there's like yellow on the wall. Like it kind of just has like this like leading line almost.
You know what? If the name Tillman's was under there, I bet like it'd be $1 bajillion.
Yeah.
How good of a photograph it is.
Thank you.
Have you ever considered doing like just prints of your photos and just selling
Yeah.
those? Not like screen prints, just like digital prints, scans.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of my thesis work, so I'm probably
Mm.
gonna do that at the end.
How large would you print this?
I have no clue
Dumpster
yet.
You know what would be cool if you like wheat paste the photo onto the trash can or onto the bin.
That's meta.
It's very meta.
And
I
then take
actually would
another
do it.
photo.
And then take another photo.
With
Yeah.
the wheat paste and
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we paste that, and then just
Yeah.
keep going and going and going until the person's like, "Who the fuck
And
did this to my
like the
bin?"
place would change. The place would change and it'd be different. And I don't know, that'd be cool. Ooh. Is this one of those like you
That's pretty cool. No one has ever said that.
Explain the medium of this sculpture.
PVC pipes and then
Mm.
just melt steel and spray paint, but you can't really see it from here, I think.
And you bent the pipes
Yeah, I
yourself,
did.
huh?
Probably lost some brain cells.
Who's not losing brain cells at OCAD?
It was
though,
really
right?
toxic. Heating up PVC is not very safe if you do it indoors without a respirator.
It's really
These feel like wires.
They
Do-
are.
They are. From like a piece of a circuit board or something.
it's like it's reminiscent of like industrial structures for vents and stuff on the outsides of buildings, right?
Mm.
Like this piece of work right here, I'd call this very post-vandalism. It is
Has no purpose.
it strips, yeah, it's like stripping an object of its like industrial use and creating it solely as just like an aesthetic notion.
But with all the hard work of reproducing it.
Yeah, for sure. What does it say? What's the stencil say on the far right?
I don't
Well,
This is
1 out
not
of
a pipe.
5.
This is not a pipe, it's a Nepal peep.
Non-resistant to
Yes.
distance.
Non-resistant to distance. And for you, what is that? What is that a representation of? Or for?
Well, they are reminiscent of like, I don't know the word, wires that are connecting telephones. And I always have issues with calling back home because there's always glitches. Because my mom lives in the countryside, like in the forest.
Did you ever buy those like the prepaid cards?
Here in Canada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad used to buy so many.
They're
Oh
quite
my goodness.
expensive, actually.
Yeah. Well,
are.
like we used to,
Fido cards.
it was like it had like a bunch of countries on it, and like you'd scratch the back, and you could get one call or a couple calls. I don't know.
That's crazy.
But you can't get them now in Europe anymore.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
They're banned.
Has your dad ever sent you to like buy one at
Yeah,
the convenience store when
yeah.
you're a kid and you're just like you don't know what the hell you're
I need the guy would recognize me. He's just like, okay, I know what you want.
It's for your dad.
I need the call card, and it's like,
See, it's like back in the day, they'd like send you to the store to buy like, oh, get me a pack of cigarettes. Oh, get me a scratch ticket. And now it's like,
Yeah.
oh, give me the call card. That's crazy.
You gotta.
Such a different world when you think about it.
Well, I even remember when like stores used to sell like the prepaid cards for like payphones and stuff. Like, you know, you could like type the number in on the back of the card and you get like a call to the person.
But you guys don't have payphones here anymore, do
Yeah, we
you?
do.
Oh, ours
Just
in
like at
Europe
the
got-
library and like.
Oh, I see. Because we
some
in
other
Europe have the
places.
same, not the same, but similar
Underprivileged neighborhoods.
as to the ones in the UK. And 10 years ago, they just got.
Oh, yeah. And okay. So,
Now they're libraries.
so we don't have phone booths anymore.
Yeah,
phone
that's
booths.
weird.
We
That's
we have more so like,
Some of them are still up though,
Just
without the phone booth.
Yeah.
Without the phone.
There's a lot on Dupont.
yeah, underprivileged areas.
Yeah.
They still have them. Like, I mean, like, for example, like, you can still walk through Parkdale and you'll see, like, 10, 15 payphones. Of those 10, 15, maybe, like, two or
Two.
three are hooked up.
Mhm.
The rest are just ghost phones.
a phone booth parked. Oh, you mean the crack booths?
Jesus fucking Christ, Mark. Holy moly.
Uh, different vernacular there.
Next,
Next
move
image.
on from that. Jesus.
We have a lino cut of lino.
Yeah.
Is that multiple blocks, a lino?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
Holy
do they
wow.
all connect where there's like
Little
like
lines.
tile lines?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's about a meter large. It was like
Oh,
Whoa.
this large, I think.
Yeah, this one's big.
But I got a special access to the studio to print it at OCAD. So that was nice from them. You helped me. There was
Ooh,
a lot of inking.
I did. It's like,
Hmm.
this one was what, like 11 plates or something?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Did you
6, 7, 8.
did you press like the blocks one at a time, or did you just lay them out and then just kind of press them all at once?
I laid them down, put tape on it so that they wouldn't move, so that the lines in between weren't gonna be that exposed, and then, yeah, I printed them in one shot,
Hmm.
Yeah, that was.
and then it ended up somewhere else.
Yes.
in the streets.
Yes, it did. I helped on this one. This one was,
You helped printing, yeah.
yeah, this one was a pain to print. It was just so big. Like, we were both going at it with, like, barons. And,
Yeah, because you can't put it under a, what's the word in English?
press.
Under a press, because
Mhm.
it was too big. So we had to hand print it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that
Well,
involved,
you are certainly a multidisciplinary artist. I think we've gone like through all the disciplines,
Yeah.
and which is a first for PODCAD.
Oh, really?
yeah, most of the people we have are, like, very good at, like, one thing, may have, like,
Yeah.
a second thing, but never, like, a full rounded, like, portfolio
Yeah.
of, like, material, 2D, and then, like, you know, technological.
It's the ADHD.
Shout
Well,
out.
Here on PODCAD, we like to give our guests gifts, and I hope the gift we have here for you today furthers your art career. And I should get to it. Oh, hold on, 1 second. I have it on. Here, everything looks better on 35 mil black and white. So that's for you.
You kidding? That's so cool.
I hope it's still in there.
Just the roll.
You saved to open.
Or was it, yeah,
The 400. Nice.
35 milli,
Thank
ready
you.
to go. So I hope once you make that $1 million photograph, you know, you send a
Yeah.
couple millies my way.
See, this is the advertising pitch that comes right now. He's like, okay, so I've
Thank you so
provided you with the
much.
material.
And then Tillman's is gonna call us like, "Is this for sale? I'd like to buy this
I
art.
think.
I'd like to buy this artwork. I'll sign the check with my Stadler's
Here,
pen."
how about this week you give us the sign off goodbye, but you do it in German or French
Okay.
Whichever.
Or both.
or both?
both,
Yeah,
Both.
Oh, German is better.
Okay.
All
It's
right.
the German
Let's do
goodbye.
it.
It's like, Auf Wiedersehen, liebe Leute.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh.
How do we say it?
Auf Wiedersehen,
Auf
Auf
Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen.
Auf
liebe
Wiedersehen.
Leute.
Liebe Leute.
Oder
Okay.
Freunde.
Leute.
Freunde.
Okay.
Freunde.
Ready?
Kinder.
We'll do it all together.
Okay.
Auf
Auf
Wiedersehen.
Freunde.
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 Thank you
Ja.
guys, and thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.
In German.